We will begin the program now, inshallah. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is a very blessed event, and it's blessed because we have the Hajjis here, and it's blessed because we have all come here together to recognize them and to honor them and to remember the great tradition of the Hajj. And every culture around the world, everywhere there are Muslims, there's a different way in which the people recognize the Hajjis upon return. And this way, our Welcome Back Hajjis event here at the Muhammad Webb Foundation in Chicagoland is a particular manifestation of that within the American cultural context. One thing I would ask all of us to do for this evening, a lot of us have our own ideas about the Hajj, what the experience is, what it should be, and that may come from our own experiences if we were blessed enough to go. It may come from the stories that we've heard from our family members. It may come from the news and what we've heard about the tragedies and injustices that we see on the Hajj. And unfortunately, some people in our community, they've begun to question, why do we do this ritual? Why every year do millions of Muslims do the Hajj when there are so many things going on around the world, when our ummah seems to be in crisis and turmoil in Syria? And even people here in America maybe feel like their Islam is at a state of struggle in terms of what the politicians are saying, and when we hear other people saying terrible things about Muslims. And then they look at the news and they see this blessed event of the Hajj, and it doesn't always get presented the right way. And so what I would like to ask each of us today is, let's just put aside whatever preconceptions we have about the Hajj, our own experiences, what we've seen, and just open ourselves up to experience what the Hajjis themselves experienced. Let's just be with them, as Dr. Omar Farooq Abdullah taught us and is mentioned several times. When people go on Hajj, they return with gifts. Some of these gifts they know about, and they're the stories they will tell. Some of these gifts are hidden, and maybe the Hajjis themselves don't even know about it. But us just being in their presence when they're in this state, we too can benefit from those gifts. And so we ask Allah to open all of our hearts so that we can hear what the Hajjis have to say and really benefit from it. And so we'd like to begin by asking a couple of them to come and share their stories and their experiences on the Hajj. So first I would like to ask Sister Fatima Iqbal to come and tell us her story.
So, Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Fatima. And you'll have to excuse the cough. It's something we all bring back from Hajj with us. But thank you for having us. My family and I, it's our first year joining the Webb Foundation, so we really appreciate this opportunity to celebrate and share with you some of the things that happened to us during the Hajj, and to also learn from the other Hajjis and people who have gone on Hajj in the past as well. It's something that even still I'm processing. When you're there, you're very busy, and as you come back, you start to reflect. And there are things that other people tell you, and you reflect on that. And so it's a process, it's not just a 2-week trip. It was a process that began when my husband and I first started talking about going. It continued as we tried to find the unscented lotion and this perfect sandal. And there were a lot of things that we expected. We expected it to be a very personal journey. We prepared all of the prayers we wanted to say for all the different people. But there was a lot of things that we didn't expect, and there was a lot that we learned from those unexpected moments. I think one of the things that I truly came back with was a renewed sense of community. We do hear a lot of bad things about the Muslims. We start to doubt ourselves. we feel we're failing. There's so many things that are going wrong. Even in the tragedies that happened this year, there was a lot of question how it happened, how we could have prevented it. But there were also millions of random acts of kindness that we saw all the time happening there. There was a man who came, and every day he would just come with a platter of tea and fruits and put it out, and everyone would come. It would be the people who were, cleaning, the people who were, coming from longer distances, maybe who were staying further away. Everyone was welcome to come and take some and share some. There was also people that were, unexpectedly giving their water. I think one of the beautiful things that I experienced is often I would end up, late, going for my prayer. I'd run to the masjid, and there wouldn't be a prayer. I would forget my prayer mat. And without saying anything, the person next to me, the lady next to me, would just lie her prayer mat down. And it seems something very simple, but we come from a place where we talk about my space. This is my space. This is my area. These are my prayers. So it was very beautiful. Someone is sharing their space, their breathing space with me. And I don't even know this person. So it was losing this feeling of mine and really realizing what is ours. I went with a prayer list. Prayers I wanted to make. And I think another powerful experience was during our stay in Medina and Mecca. After every prayer, there's a funeral prayer. So you learn how to say the funeral prayer, and it's something we only say occasionally here in the United States. If we attend a funeral, some of our loved ones pass. But there, many people are passing away. So after every prayer, there's a funeral prayer. And you start to come to expect it. You finish your part, then you kind of stand up waiting for the funeral prayer. And in some ways, in a strange way, you're almost kind of looking forward to it. Because it's a reminder, it's a reminder for all of us that, this could have been our last prayer. And the scholars that we were with, they reminded us that the prayers that you make for others, the angels come and they make the same prayer for you. So, you start making these deep prayers for these complete strangers, people that have passed away, you had no idea who they are. And it's Allah's mercy, you realize that, that is helping you, achieve that. We're also lucky to make some great friends on our trip. There was, for example, Saira, who's here. Saira, when we got to Medina, I had met her, maybe 2 hours before it was time for us to, go and visit the Prophet's grave. So we just had a few conversations, and so when it came time, we had decided with our group that we were going to go. And when it came time for us to enter the area that's called the Rawda, that's the area between the Prophet's grave and his mimbar, and it's an area that the Prophet described as a piece of paradise. And so, as we were making our way there, we lost our group. And so it was me, Saira, again, kind of stranger. I knew that she was basically my neighbor. I had never met her before. And another friend of ours decided that we were going to go together. And I had the opportunity there to pray 2 rak'ah. And as I was putting my forehead on the carpet that signifies that area, that blessed area, that they say is a piece of Jannah, a piece of a paradise, I had these 2 women standing behind me, and one was a complete stranger, and one was another friend of mine. But I would have never been able to have that experience had they not been standing behind me. And that was that sense of community. You realize that we're on a path, and we're not on that path alone, and we can't get there alone. And it was a neighbor, somebody who was, maybe living 20 miles away from me, who I didn't even know. But it took us traveling thousands of miles to have that opportunity, to have that experience. And it was a very powerful one. So it helped me kind of realize that, we have to stand behind each other. I need people behind me, and we have to help us enjoy the good. So, I guess one of our takeaways for anyone who's thinking about it, go as soon as you can. If you're healthy and able, there are people there that you see, they're barely crawling and they still do it. But if you have the health, that's a great blessing. I think that was something that my husband and I really felt blessed. Alhamdulillah, we had our health while we were there. But thank you for listening to my experience then.
And now I think, yeah? If, Okay, so now I'd like to invite Syra Rain Salim to come.
So my husband just texted me, he's actually 15 minutes away, so if he does come, he would like to say a few words too, if that's okay. Okay. So I know many of you very well. The Webb Foundation is very, very dear to me. I know all of the founders, and our family is a huge supporter of the Webb Foundation. And I'm so glad Fatima and Wasim were able to come today, because it's the first time I've seen them after Hajj, and it's so nice to see them. Every year, this event is my favorite event. And I remember last year coming and thinking, inshallah, I will be able to come next year. So one of my friends, my dear friend, said, if you have the intention to go and you really, you want to go, make your intention, and at every prayer, then say labbaik. And those words are so emotional to me, because that labbaik Allah, you're asking Allah, I am here. And so the most emotional part was when we were on the way to Makkah, the whole airplane, the whole bus, everybody on the street, everybody walking, everybody is saying, labbaik Allah, we are here for you. And so every day for a year, I would say, labbaik Allah, please Allah help me, invite me. So there's so many people that make the intention to come, but it's just not meant for them to come. They get the visa, they get the ticket, they get childcare for their kids, and it just doesn't happen. And so I thought, okay, if it's meant to be, and Allah's inviting me, it's gonna happen. With childcare and our jobs and health issues and everything, it's always something. And so, you just hope that Allah invites you. And really not until I was on the airplane that I said, okay, inshallah, allow us to finish this Hajj. So one of my favorite moments, as Fatima was talking, it was almost like a game. So you're at the Kaaba, or you're at the Prophet's mosque. You look to the left, you look to the right, and it's like, okay, who's around me today? And it was, from Germany, Turkey, Sri Lanka, Australia, the Sudan, like seriously, it's a rainbow, and it was amazing, because even though I don't speak their language, they don't speak English. By the way, if you don't know English, if you don't know Arabic or Urdu, you're out of luck. Nobody there speaks English. They were, again, so loving that they would share their mat, or if you're hungry, they would give you some dates. There was Zamzam water everywhere, and so it's amazing that it's international, and we don't speak the same language, but we all worship the same. We all pray the same. Everybody had the same du'as, same everything, and lots of hand motions and everything, but that was the amazing part. There's wisdom. Allah has wisdom, and He knows that it has to be this certain number of days. So you go there for a day or two or a weekend or something, it's not going to be the same thing. You have to go there for the minimum of 10 days, for the 1st through the 12th of Zulhijjah, to go through this whole thing. You have to be spiritually, emotionally, and physically, I think, broken down in order to be built back up. So you're exhausted, you're tired, you're sleep deprived, sometimes you're hungry and thirsty, but it's like whatever. And then so you almost have to go through that in order to be built back up. So again, Allah has wisdom. So a couple things I've learned. Number one, we are privileged. We do not realize how easy we have it until you look around, and seriously, like 98% of the people don't have what we have. So we went with Dar Salam, alhamdulillah, it was a very good package. We had air-conditioned hotels, air-conditioned buses. Our tents at Mina were air-conditioned, even though it was 120 degrees outside. It doesn't really matter if it's air-conditioned or not. But you look around, and we are privileged. We forget that. We're here in the United States, and we're like, oh, God, I wish I had another car. I wish I had that purse or whatever. It doesn't matter. So number one, we are so privileged. And I think there was a statistic that said only 10% of the Muslims in the world are able to go to Hajj. So if you've gone to Hajj, you are that privileged 10%. That's amazing. And I think in the United States, it's probably more. Number two, it's important, and I think it's really important for our kids to realize this, that Muslims are not the minority. We're the minority here in this country. It's very difficult for us. There, everybody is Muslim. You're not even allowed in Mecca unless you're Muslim. Everybody is Muslim. To be surrounded by all the people who believe the same as you, worship the same as you, and believe, have the same values as you, we forget that. We're here in this country and it's just like, oh gosh, we're talking about Islamophobia again, but it's not like that. And we should not think that that's the norm, because it's not. So we are not the minority. The other thing is that we are practicing what the Prophet did 1400 years ago. When you're circling the Kaaba, you could be standing where the Prophet stood. That is mind-blowing. And you are doing things that millions of Muslims are doing and have been doing for that many years. The Prophet showed us how to do Hajj. We knew all the rituals to do, and he made sure, this is again, going from between Safa and Marwa, that we are tracing the steps that a female did. And so all the men, everybody, we are doing the things that Bibi Hajra did. And that is how important it is that he made it as part of our Hajj ritual. So we are doing what she did. And it's nice and air conditioned and fans and nice marble floor and everything, but to imagine that she did that in the desert is unbelievable. And there's something beautiful about doing the same thing that the Prophet did 1400 years ago. So one of my favorite moments was, when we did Tawaf, which is when you go around the Kaaba and you're all the way at the top. We did it like at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's when it was not sunny and not crowded. But, they say Vegas never sleeps, Mecca never sleeps. It's beautiful because they are people doing Tawaf in rhythm, and you're like, well, what's the big deal about Tawaf? Why the circles? And somebody told me it's because circles signify unity, and you're going around, so it signifies unity, and also there's no entrances, there's no exit, and so it's universal and it's infinite. The circle is infinite, and there are examples of that in nature. You see bees doing the walk around, flowers. You see, the planets rotating around the Earth and everything like that. So it's just beautiful. Yeah, so if anybody has children and they're going to Hajj, one thing I suggest that they do is they get a dua list from their kids. So I had all my kids write a dua list from my 6-year-old up to my 15-year-old, and I also kept a journal. And so somebody told me, keep all those. And so we read those at Arafah. We read those, and then I'm keeping them in the back. And in a couple years, I'll show it to them and say, when you were 6 years old, that's what you asked for, and see if anything has come true. The most emotional part was Arafah. So anybody who knows, so basically you spend some time in Mina in these tents, then you take a train to Arafah, and it is said that this is where Prophet Adam was forgiven by Allah. And as I think my brother-in-law Rizwan was saying, you're not walking, it's like a shuffle. So you're shuffling, everybody's in the ihram, and it is like the day of judgment. I mean, this is what I think, and it shows you that life is fleeting. This life is just one phase, and it shows you what, inshallah, we will get to. And at Arafah, it taught me how to make dua. So, you make dua for like 30 seconds, you're done, go on with your life. At Arafah, it's a whole day of dua. So, you're standing, your hands are up, and you're praying, and you're asking Allah, this is it, please, answer my dua. So that is very emotional. Then you go to Muzdalifah, which is basically a huge parking lot with lights and no air conditioning, hardly, no water, nothing. And we do it again because the Prophet did it, but people live like this. There's no nice coolers and cold drinks and, vending machines and stuff like that. And the ironic thing is that there's a train take us back to Mina. It's a 7K walk. The train broke down. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. It's still like 100 degrees outside, and we decided we were gonna walk. So a couple of people in our group, one was elderly, the other one, she fainted. We had to get a wheelchair, and so, we're all together. One's pushing a wheelchair, the other one's carrying the bag, and we walked the 7K. And that was humbling because, again, we take cabs everywhere, we've got air conditioning, we own cars. People walk all the time. We can do it too. So my advice to you is, if you have the intention, if you want to go, make the intention, because You don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen. Inshallah, Allah will invite you. When He does invite you and it's time for you to go, then it's time for you to go. And if it doesn't happen, inshallah, make the intention again. But it has made me want to bring my kids to Umrah. I think my parents took me to Umrah when I was in college, and I remember that vision of the Kaaba. But then here we are, age 43, and it's a different vision. You're making different du'as. You're going through different stages in your life. But it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but the most humbling and rewarding thing I've ever done, and I highly recommend it, inshallah. Sorry, took too long.